It's my pleasure to welcome another friend of ours who was with us at the gathering last year as well. Ted's a lawyer, don't get scared. He's also an EFT practitioner, among many other things, and he has many resources, including cable show, radio show, and he does tapping groups out in Long Island. So you can ask him all about that later. I'm not going to take any more time though. I want him to be able to do an exercise with you that he's brought especially to us for this year's gathering. Without further ado, Ted Robinson.
Hello. Thank you, Johnny. What she was asking you to do is make sure you have two people and a third, so you two can match up. That's good. But the purpose of this is because we're going to be doing dyads eventually, which means two people. So, my name is Ted Robinson, like she said. And what we're going to be doing, let me ask you a quick question, because Johnny asked me if I could change the original name of this to Look into the Eyes of the Divine. And I'd like to ask, does anybody have any problem with saying the word God? Just raise your hand, it's okay. You do. Okay, so I'll keep it to the divine. But for everybody else, you're looking into the eyes of God. The reason I say it that way is because God has a lot of charges to it for a lot of people. And I know that. But the purpose of doing this exercise, if you will, which I will explain to you in more depth as we go along, is, in effect, what we're doing here, what I'm going to be doing is teaching you, what did Gary call it last night? Optimal EFT. Would you like that?
Sure.
Because what Gary did last night, if you noticed, was he showed you three different ways. Well, he told you of three different ways, right? But he's not even ready to demonstrate it yet, or release it yet. But in a way, what Johnny opened up, which is what I was talking about last year, and which you've been talking about a lot more than that, I'm sure, is presence. But because when you finally understand what presence really is, you already are present. You know, I've been having a wonderful time looking at this little baby in our midst. And, you know, I use that analogy all the time. It's not an analogy, actually, it's a reference. Babies are present. They're automatically, naturally present. You ever see a baby lying in its bed, in its little bassinet or its little crib or wherever it is, and there's a little mobile above it, and it's like it's never seen that before, and it probably hasn't. And all of a sudden, a face comes in, and sometimes it's a face of mommy or daddy or somebody else, and it's awesome. It's not just like awesome, like, oh, that's awesome. It's awesome.
It's wonder.
It's wonder, exactly, that's right. But the reason I say awesome is because they're in awe and they are in wonder simultaneously. Thank you for adding that. So what happens is we tend to, as adults, we tend to lose that. You've heard, been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Well, that's what many, many people do after a while. We get the t-shirt and we don't go back to experiencing any part of life in that same way. Because I already have the t-shirt. I've done that. I know that experience. So the idea of presence from my point of view is, I think in Zen Buddhism they talk about the beginner's mind. And I used to say, I'm not a beginner. And just recently, just a week ago, I read it and I said, oh, you mean always be a beginner. Always be in awe. Always be in wonder of the next moment, of this moment. Now, what I talk about all the time, and we'll be doing a little bit of EFT about this in a moment, but what I always talk about is there is only life in this moment. You're not alive a minute ago. You can remember a minute ago, but that's your mind. You can anticipate a minute from now, but that's your mind. You only live in this moment. Now, you've probably heard all this, but don't be been there, done that for a moment. Just be here now, which is what Johnny was talking about so efficiently and effectively today. That's really what this is all about. But here's how it works. When you're in the past, that past moment, you're recalling what it was like, right? And you do it from your own perspective, which is conditioned by all of your previous experiences. When you are anticipating what's going to happen, you're actually using your references from the past and projecting them into the future and anticipating it either being better than the last or worse than that or about the same or any gradation of that. So all of that is of the ego mind. All of that. The only part that's not of the ego mind is when we are present. And here's a real key to it all. You cannot be present and be in your ego mind at the same time, just by definition. I love absolutes, and this is an absolute. It's very simple to know when you're present. If you're thinking, you're not present. So the converse of that is, well, if you're not thinking, you are present. How simple is that? But here's what I take it a different step, a step beyond that. And I believe that this is what Gary was talking about ultimately. God is in people's, and again, I apologize, Laura. Is Laura, right? But I can't help myself. It's just God to me is one.
Can I tell you why I have an issue with God?
Sure.
Because it's a really funny thing.
Is what?
It's funny.
Good.
Okay, it's funny. But I would tell you this. I would look at it as the Tao. And one of the first things they say in the Tao is the Tao that you can talk about, explain, or define is not the Tao.
Yeah.
No, it's just that the man, the God, I have an image, I'm very visual of
Right.
this man, white
You have the
beard.
guy with the white beard and the long hair and the flowing robe up in the
It
clouds.
looks
I
a
get
lot
it.
like my dad, and I don't want to.
And he looks like your dad too. I get it.
That's what I was like.
But the idea here is that our little finite mind can never fully understand or appreciate the infinite mind. But just by definition, we cannot do it because we're finite. It's infinite. But here's the deal. The way I see what Gary was talking about with optimal EFT is he's actually taking out the mechanical aspects of EFT, right?
Mm-hmm.
And from talking or reading about David Hawkins, who was a wonderful psychiatrist from Manhattan, lived on Long Island, Long Island. And actually David explained that as a psychiatrist, he had one of the largest practices in Manhattan, and he, kind of in passing, he didn't do it egotistically, he said, I would walk into a room and people would spontaneously heal whatever was ailing them, so to speak. And that's what I believe you're talking about, and that's what I'm talking about. We really just want to be seen for who we are. Not who we should be, not from judgment, just be seen. Now, that's when we talk about seeing, coming to where our clients are. I'm not trying to take them to where we are, but seeing them where they are. And if you think about Qigong masters, I've never seen the video, I've only heard of it, where these masters will sit in a room with a woman who's got a grapefruit-sized tumor, and they'll all look at her and they'll go like this, but this has nothing to do with it. They simply see her in her perfection, without the tumor. They see her and hold such a strong view of her without the tumor in her perfection that the tumor automatically just dissolves. And if you remember Ho'oponopono, the psychologist or psychiatrist, whatever he was, in the Hawaiian prison, who never saw a single patient, but he would take out photographs of these people in this insane asylum, this criminally insane asylum, so to speak, and look at them and say, I love you, I forgive you, I'm sorry, in whatever order you want, and they would spontaneously heal until they were all gone. Now, how does all that happen? And my view is this: God is simply love. God is omnipresent, meaning God is everywhere all the time. Everything you see is God. Every part of everything is God. And since God is love, that means everything is love. Whoa. Except when the mind says otherwise. And that's the ego. And that's what we're really dealing with. Everything we do, in my view, of EFT is eliminate the judgments of the ego that says, I don't like this. My life sucks. I don't like it this way. And I'm angry. I'm hurt. I'm sad. I'm whatever. And we tap it away. As I said last year, why are we tapping it all away? Well, I believe it's so that we can become present. Because I think that's what we are to be. That's who we really are. In fact, I would say that's all we really are, except in our ego's judgment. And so EFT effectively helps us eliminate that judgment. Now, we do it mechanically, and now Gary is saying, let's go beyond that. He was singing a song or a hymn or whatever he said, or he was seeing you in your perfection, and people had results. It was a great little experiment, right? But that little baby does it automatically. Every one of us have been that little baby. Every one of us has been present. We woke up that way, and we forgot. And we got hurt, and we got embarrassed and humiliated. We got beaten up. We became the beater-upper, if you will. And eventually we formed these egos that we think protect us, define us, and make us who we are. But who are we really? I would take you right back to the original definition. We are love. We are nothing but love. Except we forget to listen. We can't hear because the voice of the ego is constantly yakking away in our brain saying, don't forget to do this, and blah, 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 and he doesn't like me, and I hate her, blah, 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 blah. And the voice of God becomes very quiet. And will never interfere. The voice of God will let your ego have its way as long as it wishes. So we tap it away. And I believe where we're going, where our ultimate quote-unquote goal, because as soon as you set a goal, your ego's back in charge again. But our ultimate destination is to remember who we are. Who we are love. You are love. You are love. Now, how many people have a problem when I say that, accepting it, receiving it? Because that's what Johnny said all along. We're great givers. But how many, raise your hands, how many cannot receive that right now, please?
Sometimes.
So right now, there's only now. Everybody can read, one person, only one person. Okay. Well, just for the heck of it, I'm going to do a little bit of tapping on resistance to change and resistance to receiving. And we'll just do very, very quick rounds because ultimately what I'm going to do is because I believe, and I think you'll see the benefit of this, that since we are all a small part of God, but all of us is God, we actually do a wonderful thing. I go to this retreat. I'm going to be doing it at the end of the month out in California with Leonard Jacobson. And one of the things I love to do, and it's evolved over the years that we've been doing this retreat, is I walk up to somebody and I just bow and look in their eyes, and I say nothing. But I'm just with them. And they're doing the same thing with me. I mean, people are weeping in joy, looking into the eyes of God. Gives me goosebumps just remembering it. And I'm not being present. I'm remembering it. So I believe all of this comes back to mindfulness. Allah. And I call it the watcher, by the way. I want to just take off for a moment on this. The watcher is that part of us. I call it like this. It's a little antennae, a little video camera. It sits right up here. Out of my view, I can't quite see it, but I know it's there. And when my ego sallies out and does its little dirty deeds, my ego goes, oh, pulls back in, like the turtle's coming back into the shell. Doesn't want to be seen doing its thing. But when we're unconscious, the ego does its thing all the time, right? Because we think we have to defend ourselves, we think we have to be defended, we have to attack, we have to do all kinds of things just to live in this world. We think. But I love the message that Johnny shared. That is, this is a community. Ultimately, if we go back to God, He's in everything, we are one. And I use this analogy in my television show a lot. I says, you know, do you really want to argue with God that went by you at 90 miles an hour and just missed you by inches? That's God too. And the bill that you didn't expect to get, that's God too. It comes down to really not judging any of it. You have to deal with it, of course, but not judging any of it. That's ultimately where I believe we're getting to, or going to, if you will. If we can finally just take all of life, good, bad, and different, in our judgment, and just remember to be here with it. Whatever it is, doesn't matter. Just whatever it is. So let's do a quick little tapping around, and I know that you're all familiar, and this is going to get otherwise a little too, I feel the energy kind of coming down, so I want to bring the energy up first, and then we'll come back to presence. All right, so just follow me. It's going to, even though I may be resistant to some of the things you said, and I'm definitely resistant to change. I don't think I'm resistant to change. I came all the way up here, didn't I? I spent the money to be here. I'm paying rapt attention. But there's a part of me that's still resistant to change. I've gotten used to being who I am. I really can't always, I can't easily change that. But I'm willing to do my best. Here we go, top of the head. So I really am a little resistant to change. I'm a lot resistant to change. You have no idea how resistant to change I am. I'm not resistant at all.
I'm not resistant
Who do
at
you
all.
think you're talking to?
Who do you think you're
I
talking
came here and I'm going to change.
I came here and I'm going to change.
Maybe not so easily.
Maybe not so easily.
I'm a little resistant, I'll give you that.
I'm a little resistant, I'll give you
But I'd
that.
like to change.
I'd like to
I
change.
want to change.
I want
I'm
to change.
afraid of change. Change brings chaos.
Change brings
I don't
chaos.
like chaos at all.
I don't love chaos.
Chaos scares the hell out of me.
Chaos scares the heck out of me.
But out of chaos comes order.
Out of chaos comes
And
order.
I can reorder my life.
I can reorder my life.
Yes.
Yes.
I can reorder my life.
I can reorder my
I can
life.
change my life.
I can change my
And I
life.
heard what you're talking about.
I heard what you were talking
It's
about.
exhilarating.
It's exhilarating.
Thought that I can change my life
I can change my life
by changing my mind.
by changing
I
my life.
like that idea. That's going to work.
That's what
I know this is going to work for me.
I know this is going to work.
I can't wait. What are we going to do next?
I can't wait. What are we going to do next?
Hands down. I used to end with a karate chop spot just because it denotes that I'm ending. So if you find it's a little different, that's what I do. So, anybody have any problem looking into others' eyes? Sometimes. I want to do one round on that as well because we're going to be looking into each other's eyes. But this is not staring. So, I'm going to do one round on that just to, and I'm going to actually explain it as part of the round. So you'll see, this will be part of the instructions and make it a little easier for us, all right? So you say, even though I may have a little trouble looking into the eyes of another person,
Looking into the eyes of another person.
I've been taught you don't stare at anybody.
I've been taught you don't stare at anybody.
Is this going to be staring?
Is this going to be
It's
staring?
not staring.
It's not
It
staring.
feels like staring.
Feels like
Looking
staring.
into somebody else's eyes?
Looking into somebody else's
I have
eyes.
to look away, just like you did.
I have to look away.
It's my automatic thing to do.
It's my automatic thing to do.
I don't know why I do that.
I don't know why I do that,
But I'm going to do differently this time.
but I'm going to do differently.
I can look into your eyes.
I can look into your eyes.
You can look into my eyes.
You can look into my eyes.
This might work.
This might
I'm a
work.
little worried about looking into somebody else's eyes.
I'm a little worried about looking into
What
somebody
happens
else's
if they
eyes.
don't like what I look like?
What happens if they don't like what I
What
look
happens if I don't like what they look like?
What happens if I don't like what they
What
look
if they
like?
wink at me?
What if they wink at me?
What if they stare at me?
What if they stare at me?
What if they see my imperfection?
What if they see my
What if
imperfections?
I see theirs?
What if I see
I'll
theirs?
show them.
I'll show them.
You show me yours, I'll show you mine.
You show me yours, I'll show you mine.
My eyes.
My eyes.
But the fact of the matter is,
But the fact of the
I do have a
matter is,
little hesitancy about looking into somebody's
I
eyes.
do have a little hesitancy,
Especially closely.
especially
Especially if I don't know them well.
if I don't know them.
I'm going to still do it.
I'm
But I'm going to do it without judgment. I'm going to do it with mindfulness.
going to do it.
I'm going to see them as they see me
As they see me.
with an open heart, without judgment. I'm going to see them for all the perfection they are.
And I'm going to see them for all perfection,
Just as God sees us.
just as God sees us.
That's a thought.
That's a thought.
Consider that. I like that idea.
I like that.
I mean, I can be seen in all my perfection.
I can see it all.
What if they see my imperfections?
Not if they see my imperfections.
I don't know, God doesn't see any imperfections in me.
God doesn't see any imperfections.
Why should anybody else?
Why should anyone?
Why should I see imperfections in me?
Why should I see imperfections?
I don't have to.
I don't
And
have
I
to.
won't.
And I
And
won't.
I won't see any imperfections in them either.
And I won't see any
I'm
imperfections.
just going to be here
I'm just going to be here
now, together with my partner,
together with my partner,
whatever that looks like.
whatever that looks like.
And I think that's going to be kind of cool.
And I think
And I
that's,
know that's going to be very cool.
I know that's very, very cool.
Hands down, nice deep breath. Okay. I'm going to now teach you presence, the way I practice it. And it's just as individual as each person, but I'm going to show you how I do it. I did it Friday night very quickly. I want to do a little more timing so you actually get the feel for this, so you can actually do it. Because you can take this home with you. You can use this the rest of your lives effectively and efficiently. This is not something that's alien to you. It's not something that's even new to you. Remember, the little Michael in the back is doing it now. If you forget how, just go look in his eyes and watch. You'll see instantly, without judgment, with total awe and compassion, because he knows nothing about those things. And at some level, neither do we. When our mind is quiet, we don't have judgment. That's the idea here. We don't have judgment when our mind is quiet. So this is about showing you how to do that. And it's also an exercise to show you how to quiet your mind simultaneously. So here's how you do this. Everybody please turn your chairs so you're directly at me, please. Get both feet on the ground. We're not turning towards each other yet. No, we're not doing that yet. Just watch me. Watch me. Just turn around, come on back here. That's very easy for you. So all I want you to do is, I'm going to show you two different ways to be present. I'll show you the very simplest way, which is the way I originally learned. I'm going to show you a more mechanical way because we're mechanists here somewhat. And I'll show you how both of them are really the same thing, just one. I'll show you the reverse. I'll show you the mechanism first, and then I'll show you just how to be present. So the simplest, easy way to be present is to just put your hands out like this. And first off, pick a spot. Pick me, pick a flag, pick anything you want. But something that's directly in front of you, excuse me, and fix your eyes on it. And do your best to not blink. Because what I've discovered is your blinking is your conscious mind trying to come in and control again. It doesn't like this, by the way. So you'll get an itchy ear, your head, your back. Something's going to itch or something's going to want to blink. These are all ways of breaking presence. So just be aware of that. Be mindful of it. If your eyes do blink, say, I see what you're up to, mind, inwardly. And just keep going. And just come back, keeping your eyes open, okay? And the next thing, I'll just demonstrate this once. You simply look at something, fix your eyes, and now bring your hands up even with your eyes, and outstretched, and then just bring them out like this. Now you keep your eyes, watching my eyes, they just stay fixed. But when I get out around here, I wiggle a little bit. Why? So I can see them for sure. And I continue back until I can't see them. I actually follow them backwards. And when I can't see my eyes anymore, my fingers wiggling anymore, I know I'm at full extension. See if you can do that. If you're getting in the way of each other, do it one at a time instead of trying to do it both together. But get them all the way back, wiggling. And as soon as you can't see them anymore, you'll notice, if you notice, take inventory, your mind is quiet. Invariably, your mind will be quiet. Now, the next thing you'll notice is you're actually seeing everything in front of you, all the way 180 degrees, maybe even more. I'm back to here right now. Now, what would the purpose of this be? Purpose is the byproduct is to quiet your mind instantly. Secondly, you find that you have to actually defocus your eyes a bit, actually completely. So you're not focused on any one thing. You're locked on one thing, but you're defocused, so you see it all. And you're in presence. Immediately, you're in presence. Just by definition, again, another absolute. So, the other way to do this is to simply, I'll pick Russell over here, my brother from another mother. And all I do is just look at you. When my mind starts to go, so not now. And I go back to focusing on my breath. It's the same thing Johnny did with a meditation, but it's an open-eyed meditation. Now, because I do this every week for my TV show, I can talk with it, but if you'll notice, I'm going to go into a deeper state now. And when you get to a deep enough state, what happens is faces will change. Black will turn to white, white to black. All kinds of things will happen. It's just visual effects. You may or may not notice that. It depends upon how deeply present you become. But I believe is you actually see the faces of that person's past lives kind of coming before you, you know. It's kind of interesting. Don't be frightened by it. If things change color or whatever, don't be frightened by it. If you see auras, don't be frightened by it. These are all byproducts of the process. Yes? Any question? No? Okay. So, I'd like you to now just do the second technique. Not really a technique, because then we're back to the ego again. See how tricky it is? So just please take a moment, take a deep breath. Keep your head upright and still. And try not to move. Do your best not to move any of your appendages. And just see me. And now look to see if you can, not when, not if, see when you can see the people to your sides. You're blinking a lot here. It's okay. You didn't do anything wrong. I'm just bringing it to your attention so you become more mindful of it. Everybody's doing great, by the way, including you. This is presence. Now we can look into the eyes of the God, if you will. If you will, now take a nice deep breath. And just allow yourself to relax out of that for a moment. And now if you can rearrange yourselves so that your dyads, two people, one towards the other, and align yourselves perfectly with the other person. Please get your heads upright, perfectly upright, sit upright, straight. And like here's a good example. Now Beth is looking at me, but at first she's looking at me from over here, and I'm going to ask her to move her head so that her nose is directly lined up with mine. And when it's not, I'm going to move over a little bit. Because we normally, many of us don't look directly at people. We look a little off. It's actually a bit of defensiveness from our ego. If I don't look this way, I'm not fully open to that person. Excuse me. So just be aware of the fact that you want to line your nose up with theirs, and you want to align your eyes so that they're both level with the ground. Okay? And now if you will, take a nice deep breath. And let it out. And now just fix your eyes on the other person. And now, like Beth, your eyes are going back and forth, switching back and forth. So just allow your eyes to defocus a little bit. There you go. This may apply to others, that's why I'm saying it. And just allow yourself to relax into this. Now, if you're having any difficulty focusing, excuse me, just allow your eyes to defocus. That means you're not staring into the person's eyes. You're gazing. This is a presence gaze. If you're having difficulty with that, you can use that arm thing that I told you and showed you about. If your mind is not quiet, you can use the arm thing to become present. Behold the eyes of God. See the perfection. Feel the love that you are. And feel the love that they are. Place your attention on your hearts. And extend your heart energy out to the center between the two of you. Not into their space, or allowing them into your space. And just allow your hearts to meet in the middle. recognize that we are one. And this moment is perfect. If you're having any difficulty, just say, I see what you're up to, ego. Not now. And come back to your eyes and your breath. And when you're ready, just allow your eyes to gently, slowly and easily close whenever you're ready. And take a nice deep breath. Letting it out. And thank your partner. I'll tell you about that moment. I just want to let everybody have a moment.
I was looking at the white.
I was looking for you.
So, take a few more moments to talk, kind of defuse, it's okay. Things may have come up for you.
Yeah, I saw you.
They're important to share with one another. Take your time. All right, if you can bring it to the conclusion. Come on back, facing front.
Excellent.
When you're ready. Take your time, it's okay. So, I really didn't anticipate how this was going to work out. I just knew that what I felt from this, what I felt I want to share with you, is that this is a wonderful way to build connection between ourselves, those that don't know each other, with those that do, and you get an opportunity to go deeper. But I'd like to entertain questions or comments, please, and I'll repeat them for the tape, if you would. 5 minutes, okay. Yes? Gretchen?
Comment about this was incredible. The whole room turned white and then purple, and it was just completely shape dissolving. It's just absolutely incredible. So that was really, thank you for that. That was really quite like, I want to go there. So whatever Gary's talking about, get it.
Well, this is what Gary's talking about ultimately. This is optimal
exactly.
EFT.
And it's not really kind of an out there thing. But here I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So if everything there is God,
Yes. If everything is there's God,
then there is no ego.
then there is no ego. That would be true,
Which
except in
means
your
God
mind.
is ego, which means why do we worry about it?
That's a very good question.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I have the
I
answer.
know, but I'm just throwing that out there because I think we don't.
I think it's a great question, and I'll give you an opportunity in a moment. I would tell you this. I believe that God allows all. That's why in religion God allows the devil.
Well, I
Because
believe
the
that
devil
God
is
doesn't
also
care.
part of God. Everything's part of God. You can't escape that. But, so God will allow every aspect of mind, is what I'm getting at. And I believe that the ego is a part of mind that's developed individually by each of us as we grow up. Little Michael doesn't have much yet. But with time, he will form it when he gets let down, when he gets exuberant. All the goods and bads will form his belief system, right? And his character eventually. Although somebody was saying earlier this weekend that we were born with a certain character, and I believe that too. I believe that's more past life that we come in with. But I believe God allows all. God is not judgmental, and God doesn't say no to the ego ever. God will simply allow you to do whatever you need to do until it's your time to find out. But I think there's another answer over here that I want to hear.
Well, I was thinking about the waking up, even though we have this absolute place that we live in as children of God or children of light or whatever you want to call it, we also have this, I've had the term said to me, we're still wearing shoes. So we're still dealing with this physical
That's right.
universe. And the thing is to wake up to this divine. But you know, even if you go back to the Bible, Jesus said he was the first fruits of them that slept.
I would tell you a little something different than what Gary mentioned last night. From the Course in Miracles, it's simply the very first lesson of the Course in Miracles says, everything you see is not real. And when I first read that, I put the book down and said, screw that, I'm not going to read that again. It took me many years to finally get back and figure out, what the heck are they talking about? And what I've finally come to, and I could be wrong, I probably am wrong, who the heck knows, and who cares? What I believe is the only thing that's real is my soul. That is a part of God. It's a direct connection to God. It's piece of God, so to speak. And it inhabits, or it takes over. I think it inhabits this body and mind. And everything that we do in this lifetime is so we have experiences to evolve our soul. So we get more and more experiences, which ultimately inure to the benefit of God. Because God, being only one, cannot relate to anybody because there's no other. So we are the others. Yes,
I've done some mirror exercises where I've looked at myself and I've seen a lot of past lives, or whatever you call it. It's bizarre, just different faces, old and young, and male and female, and also where my aura is just like shot back at me. And so you can do it with yourself too.
Yes, you can.
So
The Rosicrucians do that. In fact, with a couple of candles and a mirror, and look into it, and you'll see all these past lives coming through. It's true.
Bizarre.
Yeah, well, go ahead.
Well, so I wonder, in terms of the reason that we do this. I mean, I was just doing it because I did it, no other reason. But so it develops presence. Like this is an exercise that you might do on a regular basis to develop the feeling.
Okay, that's a very good question. The question is presence just done for presence purposes, or is there some purpose to it? The answer is no, there is no purpose to it except to be present. Because as soon as you put a purpose to it, you attach the ego and a goal. And the whole idea of even explaining it brings it back to the ego. So it's very, very tricky. I would say to you, ultimately, you get it? Ultimately just this. This is it. This is all of it. Everything else is just the ego.
So wouldn't you be doing it to deepen connection?
Yes, that's a very good question. The question was, aren't you doing it to deepen connection? Yes. And what I've been talking about recently in my TV shows is you really can't be present all the time. Don't expect to, because if you sit in a corner over there, people have to bring food to you and they have to walk to the bathroom, I'm present, So it's not that. The idea of presence from my experience, and I have this television show I do, it's called Learning to Live in the Present Moment. Because I'm learning to live it. I'm not, somebody was mentioning it, I was mentioning it, I'm not being a teacher here. I'm a student just like you. Everybody is here as a student and a teacher. We all teach each other various things. Thank you. And we all learn from each other. So all I'm saying is, this is where I've gotten to. And to listen to my teacher, he says, you shouldn't be doing this. But I know that what I'm doing is right for me. And if you get whatever you get from it, one of you will become the new master of it. It's fine with me. I'm not trying to be anything. But I will tell you this. What I do is I'm walking between courtrooms like this and I'm trying to get there. And what I do is I take 3 steps in presence. I go, and I just pay attention to those 3 steps. And then I back to my walking. Or as I'm eating lunch, and I'm eating away and I'm shoveling it in, and all of a sudden, up presence, and I take and I draw the fork off the bottom of my lower lip, top of my lower lip. I just draw it across it, and I go, presence. I just remember to do it in various points throughout my day, just for a moment. It's all it needs, just a moment. 3 steps is nothing, right? And that's all it takes. And you've remembered presence. Ultimately, what I would tell you is, if you need a goal, is to make presence the default place in your life. You know, like with the default printer, you're going to go to this printer, but no, the default is over here. This is where you want to ultimately default to, presence. And right now we're way over there, most of us, including myself. But what I do is I set my life up so that I have to do a half an hour a week, so I shoot my show in as much presence as I can. And I open the show in presence, and I finish the show in presence, and at least I've been present that much. I force myself to do it. I don't have to do the show, it's voluntary. So that's the whole thing. But the idea is to start seeing everybody else's perfection, and as you give, you receive. So as you see their perfection, they see your perfection, and everything starts to change, not subtly, but profoundly. Thank you.